during the what was it? During the beta sprites for Gen 1, some Pokemon would have had like evolutions or like baby versions of themselves. Like I know with the Squirtle line, instead of having Blastoise, they would have had like a bigger version of what Wartortle looked like. Just imagine, yeah, like I said, just imagine a giant version of Wartortle, and that's about it. The same size as Blastoise. That was the idea of what they wanted to do, but later on scrapped it because I also think that they were gonna have Blastoise have its own lineage, but then canned it and just put them all together. And apparently Squirtle has a fucking neck, or he can extend his neck, which is weird because in the anime and the games he doesn't really do that. I just know in in the original Pokedex, the Japanese only Pokedex, it talks about Squirtle being able to extend his neck, and I think there's also a picture of him doing that, which is fucking weird to think. It's the same Pokedex that talks about Doduo losing its wings, or at some point in the future losing his wings. I know Ditto almost had had a baby version of itself. I forget the name of what it was gonna be called, but yeah, it was just gonna be like a smaller blob version of Ditto, and the only moves that it was gonna have was transform, and that's about it. But then the dev teams thought it was kind of dumb, and they just scrapped him immediately. Which, in hindsight, I don't think Ditto needs an evolution at all because, oh god, yeah, I don't think Ditto needs an evolution because I think some Pokemon that don't need evolutions are fine where they are, even though some do. Like Kenya right here, Sableye, I don't think it really needs a evolution. It'd be interesting to see if it had like a baby version, but at the same time, it's probably best to where it's at. Oh boy, this is gonna be a. This is Dalton here, my new song. Okay, and then yeah, like there's still some Pokemon that were scrapped, like two scary ghost Pokemon that were definitely dropped immediately because of their references. I don't know the names. I'm sure they. I know that they do have it. I just don't remember what they were called specifically. But I don't know that there's that panda zombie of, I think, zombie vampire that had like the garbage you would see in supernatural stories. That was kind of dropped because of the whole reference thing. I think to the dead and what was it? Like religious stuff on it, like with the scroll on its head to ward off evil, or at least to contain it. And then that there was the that straw doll, that voodoo doll, I guess you could say. That was also another thing that was scrapped away because of, again, that whole reference of it being made. And then what else? So in Gen 2 with the Lake of Rage with Gyarados, or the shiny Gyarados, they were planning to have a anchor shark Pokemon. I don't really know the name of it specifically, but so the whole backstory with that one is where the mountain is at, where the Lake Rage is at, or around that area. That whole place was gonna be based off Mount Fuji, and if you take away the Lake Rage, they were planning to have in the Suicide Forest be there instead, but because of the whole thing and its story, they scrapped it immediately. They didn't think it would be a good idea to even have that there. And I guess you could say, if you look at the map of Pokemon and for the Gen 2, there really isn't any. I mean, you would think it would be sort of similar to what the actual mapping of the Suicide Forest looks like in the game, but I think they did whatever they could to like try to like change it up so it wouldn't be the same, or wouldn't be referenced in a way. You shush. So it was pretty much like, again, like I said, they just scrapped the whole thing, and they with Anchor Shark, I think Ikari, which is also which has two meanings for anchor and then rage. It would have been cool to see, to have a ton of anchor sharks in the lake instead. But then I don't know if they would have had a shiny Pokemon, or I don't think a shiny Pokemon would have been created if that anchor shark was in there from the start. And sometimes with Pokemon, I guess the beta Pokemon, some tend to not be in I guess you could say not go through the second stages or be considered, because I don't remember which one it was specifically, but I know there was a Pokemon that was, or a scrap Pokemon that was thought of but then ignored twice. Like, they brought it back up, I think, for Gen 1, scrapped it, thought about it again for Gen 2, and then scrapped it again immediately. And I mean, I'm sure I'm safe, because it's been years since that data leak for that specific gen came out. Because I think if I try to add in the newer ones from last year, I probably would get in trouble, which I probably won't ever do until, like, I don't know, a few years from now, where it's much more cleared. But it's always interesting to see some of the created beta Pokemon of what they would have been, or what probably would have been added to the series, like Gorochu, or apparently Muck would have had a baby version of itself, which would just been like a little pile of sludge. But again, you can't really do much with just a sludge Pokemon when you have Grimer already. Or yeah, like just Grimer and Muck, just that's it, just those two versions, and that's about it. Because I don't think you could do anything to make a smaller version evolve into those two. Apparently with Rayquaza, in the beta version, it was supposed to be a white dragon, not what we see today where it's all green. I think I saw the beta version of it before. I would have to look it up specifically, but I know Rayquaza was supposed to look white instead of green. And at the same time, in this game, I probably had talked about it, but in this game, his tongue was blue. Yeah, for some reason they had his tongue blue, but then later versions and so on, they just changed it into pink, which is weird. And I think only Nobunaga's Rayquaza only has the only stuck with the red tongue or the pink tongue, and never really had the blue one. But it's always weird to see some Pokemon, some current Pokemon, have like a slight little change in their designs. Like with the legendary birds, Zapdos, I think it's Zapdos. No, Articuno and Moltres all had, well, pretty much 4 toes, and I think it was Zapdos grew 2 because it only had 3 toes in the beginning, or one of the 3 had 3 toes, and the other 2 had 4, and then later versions they added the 4th one. And then with people, which also amazes me, even to this day, the legendary beasts. When people say the legendary beast, some would immediately think of dogs, even though it's been stated by the creators or by Pokemon that they're literally based on giant cats. Raikou is based off a tiger, Entei is based on the lion, and Suicune's based on a leopard. Like in the beta versions, you could actually see them look like bigger cats, but at the same time, I think it was the creator of the 3, Mineo Saito, stated that he had an image in his mind for Entei while rolling it around in their head. It was rolling around in his head for a while. He started to see some connections, see some connections with Suicune and Raikou, but it was still tough for it to like the full design of it pop up in his head. He pretty much worked backwards, if that makes any sense. Like with Entei, he thought of a hairy rock-like body, volcanic smoke rising from behind its head. God damn it! A king with a dignified beard, which became Entei. So yeah, he pretty much basically like a lion, especially if you look at him. Like he has that giant mane around his neck or his head. Like you could definitely see that more of a lion than a dog, I guess you could say. But at the same time, he also wanted their like silhouettes to be a bit tough to tell. Like, is it a cat or is it a dog kind of thing? With Suicune, it pretty much with Suicune, it was much easier to do. It's just that with Entei, it took him so many times to come up with a dude, because there was a version where he became blue, and I don't think he's ever released it, because if he did now, because I think I'm definitely sure he still works with the company. If he released it now, he would have been a lot of trouble if he did. But the blue version of Entei was the blue version of Raikou would have had a drum on its back. So if I tell you the drum, you would think like an actual drum from a band, but it's more of the drums that you would see with the Thunder God, Raiju. So pretty much where you see that giant drums all on its back, that's what the blue version of Raikou would have looked like. But again, there really isn't much of a beta version of what it looks like, so you could only speculate and guess what that would have looked like. But again, Entei is based off a lion, Raikou is based off a tiger, and Suicune is based off a leopard. They're cats. They're not dogs. No matter how many people want to say they are dogs, they're not. They're fucking cats. I love playing Pokemon every now and then whenever you get the chance. because sometimes it's always interesting to me to see like the newer versions that I've never really got to see during the anime. Because for me, I think it was, around, I think literally after this. No, yeah, I think either this one, Ruby and Sapphire, or Diamond and Pearl, where I kind of stopped watching the show until like later on. That's when I started hearing about more Pokemon being made, because I know that they are always going to have to implement newer versions of different types, or like different types of evolutions, or at least like regional ones. So then when I found out that there was other weird looking Pokemon that I was a bit confused on, it made me more, I guess, curious to get back into the games. Like for instance, the goddamn Key Pokemon, I don't even know its name. That one, and then the damn Ice Cream Pokemon. It's always weird to see what they come up with. Like, I understand that it's always gonna be tough to come up with Pokemon, because sometimes they've already come up, or they've already used an animal that's in the game and they can't really think of anything else. Like, I guess like with dogs, like they have a ton of different dogs, wolves, coyotes, foxes, and stuff like that. Like, when you think about it, it is always tougher on the designers and the creators to think of like what can they do next, because I know with the Pokemon Company and Game Freak, I'm sure they didn't think it would get this popular, or I'm sure they didn't think it would get to the point where they would have to make more and more games. Because if you were thrown into like the creation team and you had to come up with a new type of Pokemon without using the same ones, like like think of a different type of bird Pokemon. We've already have so many kinds: Pidgeot, Spearow, Tailo, Corviknight, Murkrow, Honchkrow, the fucking legendaries: Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno, Ho-Oh. Like, what can you come up with that probably hasn't already been thought of? And it always, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's dumb when they come up with Pokemon that are made out of items, but at the same time, like, what else can they do? It's always gonna be a battle of the creative mind to come up with something way different. Like, I'm sure they can come up with grass type Pokemon made out of fruit or something. Like, they already have the cherry ones. They have, I don't even remember I don't even know the name of it, but the Pokemon that's coming out of a goddamn apple. They have a fucking a Japanese food Pokemon, which apparently is like strong as hell compared to like the bigger version of what it looks like or what's based off on. Even though I've played Scarlet, I still don't remember the names. So yeah, and I'm like, I know that they tend not to come up with Pokemon that the fan base has already come up with. Like, for instance, people are hoping for them to make more evolutions of Eevees, but what can they do when and thousands of people have come up with ones that haven't been created yet, like a flying type, a ghost type, a dragon type. Like it'd be nice if they did, but at the same time, people would just think that they're just stealing from fans. Like one of my favorite ones, legendaries, is the Reggies. I don't know how to say it all in plural, but the Reggie Pokemon, or I guess Reggie Pokemon, they have like a few good. I think it's Regirock, Registeel, Regice, Regigigas, Regielectric, I don't know, that one, and the Regidrago. Oh fuck. Six Reggies. Like, to me, it'd be nice if they made more of them. Pretty much just like I guess you could say that they're pretty much the legendary versions of Eevees, but they're Reggies. Like, I'm sure they can come up with other ones: poison, grass, fire, and stuff like that. It'd be nice to see more, because I know damn for sure they kind of had to come up with something else for the legendary birds on, what was the last version? Sword and Shield, where they came up with the right ones, but in reverse? Or no, not reverse. Like, they came up with the same sort of look-ish, but they had to like change their types. I think it's I almost said Valorant, but with the Sword and Shield version, there's a Zapdos that's a fighting type, Articuno that's psychic, I think, I don't know, and then the Moltres is what? Fire? I could be dead wrong. I just knew that they brought them back, but I don't remember their types. But yeah, like, would it be a good idea if they brought the same legendary Pokemon, but gave them different types of, I guess, regional versions of what they look like? It'd be interesting, but also, I guess you could say it's kind of like how people were when it came to like Mario and Dr. Mario and Smash Brothers. Like, people were upset that Dr. Mario just took up a slot for a potential character, even though Dr. Mario and Mario are both completely different. Like, I think Dr. Mario is a bit weaker, slower than Mario is. And I can understand people's upset. Reason for being upset about that. Like with the Fire Emblem characters all just being brought up and just taking up slots because there's too many, or some of them that had color palettes to represent them, just being taken away and then just being used for the actual characters. But I don't know. Like I'm sure Game Freak could come up with different regions of Pokemon or legendary Pokemons as a matter of creativity, or coming up with something else instead of just using the same ones over and over again. Like I'd say with Shadow Lugia, they could bring him in and just say like, yeah, it's a regional Pokemon where it's just a dark type, or with Ho-Oh being something else, a different type of version. I don't know, a water type. Who knows? Like I'm sure they can still come up with more newer versions of legendaries. It's just there has to be a point where they'll come to a crossroad of, like I said in the beginning, they've already used the same ones that they can't just copy and paste it, or just make a ton of variants of them. That it's just like the same thing with the EVs. But who knows?